Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. Today we're going to make an apple picker. This is the type that's actually just on a pole. It's got a little cage on top of it. You reach up in the top of the apple tree, pick the apple, it drops down in a little cage, and then you bring it down, dump it into a bucket, and reach and get another one. This just allows you to get the ones from the very top of the tree. And I could go out and buy one of these, but I'm not sure what they cost, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to save the money and just make it out of scrap materials. I'm going to use cattle fencing, cattle panel. I've got some stuff that was all mangled that was here on the property when I bought it, but it's useful for this. You know, rather than scrap it, I can just use it for this. All you need is a welder, and I've actually made one without a welder before. I used actually some regular fencing, just something you could cut with a pair of pliers, and I used that to bend up into a shape to make one of these a long time ago. And it worked. It was just a little flimsy, but it did work. So as long as your apples were ripe, you could still pick it off of there with it. You can use a pole of any sort if you were making one yourself. Use a long stick. You could go cut it off of a tree if you wanted to. But I'm actually going to use it goes to a pool. You use it for like the skimmer for the pool to be able to reach across and get bugs and stuff out of it. I think it'll last for a really long time. So the first thing we need to do is actually make a handle. That's going to dictate what size, what diameter we're going to make the base of this thing. And we need to make sure that whatever we have is going to be sturdy enough to work with that. This right here goes to a pool. Somebody was having me throw it away. I kept it so I could scrap it. It's just aluminum, but it's really long. And I normally never take things in until I have enough of it to actually make it worthwhile to take it in. So this is just sitting over in the scrap pile. We might as well put it to use. But I can reach anywhere on the tree if I wanted to with this thing, so it actually would be perfect. It's lightweight and it reaches really high. So the only problem with this one is it is hollow. So whatever we put on here is gonna possibly, depend on how we attach it, it could possibly crush this. And so we're gonna make a insert. This is another piece of scrap. This came from a project I was doing. I believe it's a dowel rod, goes in a closet. And I just kept the scrap. I was doing a short closet. I just kept the scrap because you never know what you do with it. Problem with this one is it's a little bit too big. So we're going to go ahead and sand it down, basically make a plug or an insert to go in here so that whenever we do crush this or clamp down on this, it's not going to crush the aluminum. So let's go ahead and sand it down real quick and go from there. Do a quick test fit. It fits in there on the end. It's actually a little bit too much, but I'll now focus on the part that's not closest to the end. And that works out pretty good. So now I just need to cut off the excess. I'm actually going to leave it a little long. As you can see, it doesn't fit perfect in there, which is great. I'm going to leave it a little bit long, and that way, whenever I put this down in here, it doesn't just slide all the way down through. Sand it real quick. There we go. Let's make sure it fits. That should work just fine. Now we got something with a definite diameter. Let's go ahead and make the basket. This is, of course, going to be out of scrap stuff too. We're going to go ahead and weld something up, kind of fold it around here, and then we'll work on bending everything the way we need it. So let's check it out. So I got two apples here. One of them is a little bit smaller from a neighbor's tree. This one's from the store. Probably about good size apple. You may find them a little bigger than that. But we go ahead and take this piece of this wire, wrap this around the apple here, and you can see the bigger one. This right here should be plenty and it probably should be plenty for pretty much any apple. Cut it out here. The pieces that I did cut out. This is the first one. And this probably would have worked fine it would have been a little bit smaller as far as the circumference going around the apple. But the problem with it is that I don't have anything here at the bottom to be able to actually bring down to the pole to be able to connect it. So I decided to go ahead and cut out another one real quick. Made this other one, and I did make it a little bit wider, but I just cut it all the way to the next piece, and that looks like it's going to be plenty for the apples, and maybe a little bit too big, which is fine. As long as nothing falls out, it'll work great. The bottom down here, I have it now to where I can bend it in, and that way it comes together at the pole. And then at the top, we're going to use that for the actual part to hook the apples. So this right here, by the time we bend this around, it's going to be just about the size we need for the apple. So if we took it here and spun it all the way around, that would be about right. So now we need to work on bending this into the shape, or bend it into a cylinder basically, and then weld here to here. And then I actually have other pieces that you saw me cut out. These right here, we'll bend them straight, and they're going to go here in the middle. And that way there's no gaps big enough for the apples to fall through. But I don't think I want to put them on there until after we get this thing into the shape that we need it, because that's going to be rather difficult. So let's go ahead and start bending. So I've got this leftover piece of fence post. I'm actually just going to staple this down. And then we're going to use it. It's about the right size I need. If it's not, we can adjust it afterwards, but it'll be something solid for me to actually hammer against. All right, so this is the best I could get it. You can see it's definitely not perfect in any way. Probably could work if I wanted to go ahead and use this, but I want to try to see if I can't make something a little better, just to try it. Because this is all together, it's difficult to bend. It's difficult to bend anyway because it's kind of thick. But I'm going to try something different. I'm going to see if I can't do each of the rings individually, just using some of the wire that I have. I've got plenty of it. I'm going to use this. It looks to be a little bit smaller than what I need. I'm just going to clamp it in the vise, drill a hole in it, put my wire into the hole, and then bend it, wrap it around it, and see if I can't get the desired results that I'm looking for. After it's done, then we can cut it loose and weld it together. But let's see if this works. So as you can see, I overbent this. I got plenty to work with, so it was fine. I knew it was going to spring back out, and I knew at the beginning and the end were not going to be perfectly bent the way I wanted it to. So I went ahead and bent extra, and now whenever I cut it, I'm going to cut it about right here. That should take out the part where it's ending and not bending the way I want it to, and also the beginning here where it wasn't bending. So if I cut it right here, I should get a fairly decent ring whenever I put this back together. It's kind of stuck on there, but you can see it. This looks a lot better when you compare the two. You compare the results that I was getting with this one. See how out around that is versus this one. It's a lot more round. So they're pretty close to the same size. I think that'll still hold my apple. So I think I'll go ahead and use these. The other issue I was looking at too was the fact that you see the gap here. It's so big. I don't know. It probably would be just fine, but I really didn't need this top part here. This is way too long. So two rings here should be fine, and I can use the straight pieces now to weld up the sides of this. All right, so there you go. It's not pretty, but it's better looking than the other one. And so we're ready to go as far as bending this into shape. What we got to do is designate which side is going to be the top, which side is going to be the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and use this as the bottom, and I'm just going to go through and measure. I figured it out. I think about 3 inches is good. So from the ring down, I'm going to measure 3 inches and just mark it all the way around. What we're going to do is we're going to actually bend this out away from the ring. And I'm not really sure, I'm going to have to eyeball it. But the reason why is because when we do bend this back in, I want it to be flush up against the pole. So you'll see here in a second. What we're going to do is just go ahead and go to my mark, and I'm going to bend this out all the way around here, and you'll see the difference. So they're not exactly perfect. They're all bent a little bit differently. If you saw what I was doing there, though, I was trying to make it to where I was pushing down against the table so that it was bending them out in the proper direction. So now we got to bend all these back in. So we need the pipe. Need the pipe for that. And I'm kind of just going to eyeball this again. We'll put it against the table. And we'll just do them one at a time, though. We're trying to get it to go in far enough that it will enclose or clamp down onto the pipe. So I think that's pretty close. Now we need, probably just going to choose 3 of these. We'll go with these 3 right here. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut off these. I might cut them a little bit high so that I can bend them out just a little bit, just to make it easier for stuff to go in there. But we don't need all these to be this long, just the ones that are going to be used for the hooks. So we'll go ahead and cut 3 of them off. And the other ones we need to figure out where we're, what height we're going to go with. I think I'm just going to eyeball this. I think we're going to go with cutting it roughly 3 inches and maybe 3.5. And then we just have to bend that over to make the little hooks out of it. We'll try to use this. All right, so now we just got to test it out. If it works good, then we'll just clean it up well, make sure that everything's deburred, give it a good paint job, and then put some cushioning in here. Well, there you go. It's all painted up. Not for aesthetics, it's mainly just to make sure it doesn't rust. So I plan on just keeping this outside by the tree. It works. I didn't bother doing anything. I didn't bend these forward, these here in the front. I didn't bend them forward like I said I was going to. They work just fine the way they are. The whole design of it is that way you can kind of, as you're pushing up, you can grip the apple, and the stem will kind of go there, and it'll give you the opportunity to be able to kind of break it loose from the tree. These hooks here at the top, that's so you can kind of pull the apple down some, and then it just catches right there in the basket. The only thing this needs at this point is something soft to put in there. And we can put a piece of sponge or rag, anything we want, or we can just keep it like it is. If you plan on using the apples right off the bat, then it won't really matter if they get a little bit bruised. I mean, they're only falling that far, so no big deal. Paint's still wet on this. I did go out and test it though. It works fine. My son saw it and he's like, what about for small apples? And I told him, I was like, well, most of the time you're not picking small apples. You're looking for the ripe ones, and those are already big enough. If you were looking for a variety that is smaller, then you just build it, make this in a way that would have smaller openings. Or put something in there. Get some, get some chicken wire or something like that and put in there. It doesn't really matter. Whatever keeps the apples from falling through. The only thing I will say is that you probably should put a helmet on. I know you'll look like you're going out there playing lacrosse or something, but whenever you go and get one apple loose, a lot of times other ones fall, and they may or may not hit you right on top of the head. So you just got to be careful. But this is another project to show you that you don't have to go out and buy something. Yes, I probably could have spent a lot less time and effort and everything like that by just buying one. These things probably cost like 20 bucks or less, except for this one. This pole right here, which was going to be thrown away anyway, this reaches all the way to the very top of the tree. This right here is strong enough that I should be able to pull down entire branches with it. It's probably twice as sturdy and rugged as anything that you're going to buy. So, and this was the whole thing here, except for the hose clamps. This whole thing was all just scrap material, and the paint, of course. But the paint was probably going to get thrown away anyway because it's really old paint. So, but I didn't pay anything for it. Everything here's Should be able to last me for many years. If you got any questions about this or any other projects, leave it in the comments and I'll try to respond to it. So as always, I appreciate you watching. And until next time, y'all take care.